there, guys, and welcome to my crackback, my crazy tooting, and my YouTube, and my observations on what is going on around us. And I think I've found out why my sound keeps kicking out when I'm on my live. It's because I rest the actual sound on my palm of my hand. So I should start using my left hand maybe. So anyway, as people know, mid-July a virus was released on the people. Be it that nature is pushing that thunder, lightning, and weather is not getting the message out, and Mother Nature is dealing with this, or this is a man-made virus for depopulation in terms of Agenda 21 for the 21st century, the targets for 2030 for depopulation. Go back 4 years ago, you can listen to TED Talks by the likes of, what's his name, the guy who owns Microsoft. He talks very much about how the world would not be prepared for such a virus. And as I'd said, when I decided to design, or not just design, but take myself from being a one-on-one, and why are you sending me messages when you know full fucking well I'm going on live? You know I can't take it, you know I can't cope with the multiple sources, so just don't bloody do it. So now I've lost my train of thought. See, this is why I need a fucking good team around me right now, because at the end of the day, when I first created this, I was thinking about my family and making sure that my family, as in Liam, Daniel and Aaron and Faith at the time, were going to be prepared for this sustainability. I was right at the forefront, right at the core of it at the time, but just as somebody who was wanting to learn how the fuck I was going to make over 60,000 to be able to clear the system, how I would buy land, how I would build my own home, and how I would then graze the lands. And I just got so far, and this was when I then sort of said that I wanted to be on the other side of the river, but health and safety wasn't letting me get in, and child protective services weren't letting me do it with the kids, and I was having people trying to hold me back from making the leap from where I was to where I needed to be, to make sure that by 2005 and then into 2010 that my family would pretty much be, you know, out in the sticks somewhere in a lovely home with our vegetation, and we would bypass all of this stuff that was going on. Obviously, as you know, I kept moving forward, because this is the biggest distraction ever to the people right now, because at the end of the day, Prince Andrew has made it clear that the case is closed in all of this Epstein stuff. It's done. It's going to go back undercover again. Now, one of the people who is on Epstein's list, and it's something that I've been devastated and heartbroken about, because as a child I grew up with people in films and that were my sort of, I don't know, the people that I watched, and Tom Hanks was one of them. I absolutely adored the film Big, and Down Down Baby, Down Down the roller coaster, as they were walking through the avenue with all the trees, that was my home, that was my space. So to see Tom Hanks on the list was something that I thought, you know what, I can't put this list out at the moment, because there's a couple of other late names on this list that I'm sitting there going, no, seriously, these people can't be involved in this. This is crazy. And I suppose we all wonder whether we have the paedophile living next door when we have children, but we don't worry about it every day, because we as the parents keep our children safe. If I'm over my speakerphone, sorry, I've just done it again. I was actually going to set my laptop up, but my charger is somewhere in the amongst of all of this stuff, and I can't find it. So, and I really wanted to sit here and actually go through Agenda 21 with you, because the original one was written, I think it was in 1992, I can't remember. But I think the original one first ever was put together. And then obviously they then sort of went hard and fast in 2015 on this to sort of go, look, it's time to now release the infrastructures of this. So basically what G7 and all of these other things that most people won't know exist, because I mean, look at these people out here right now. I don't want to show my general public ambulances passing, but these people out here, they probably either don't read the papers, don't listen to the news, think all of this stuff is a conspiracy, be it that it's a natural caused epidemic, pandemic even, or whether or not it's a man-made. Now, I'm going to put the two films that I put out last night. Again, Amber's just taken the time to put them up on my YouTube. If my YouTube disappears, it's because we've actually put this video up on my YouTube, and there'll potentially be copyright issues with this, but we have put the copywriting in it, so they might leave it, but they could actually take it down. I have put the original video up, but I want it going out on the YouTube because I want it connected into all of this, because one of the challenges that obviously I've had with working with Amber is I'm the only person who knows what my intentions was in all of this and where I foresaw things going. Now, it's quite nice, there's no lines up here, the doctor's surgery is up the other side, people aren't lining up for, you know, getting checked and things like that. And actually, people aren't really listening to government. Now, I'd love to go downstairs and show you the posters that are up on our wall that have closed down our community centres here, all of the little places where people go, and already there are older people in this block here that have been told to stay in. There are a couple of churches that have put posters out now to say if you're isolated, if you're in, you need a hand with shopping, blah blah blah. I'm also going to be putting myself forward when Dean gets here, and I'm going to go and mask up and go and help up at the QA and you know, or anywhere I can help at the moment, because it hasn't properly swept here in the UK yet, and they're not expecting for it to be a full-blown sweep here in the UK until probably another 2 to 3 weeks. Now, this has been going since, I think it's like January the 22nd, I think the first sort of case was hit. And then obviously I've posted out the number of death tolls, the number of cases. Obviously, more people are coming through this, more people are getting the virus and coming through it. So we've all had coughs and colds, we've all had viruses. You know, we've survived massive big hits before on viruses, obviously with a mass toll taken. But these viruses are taking people in levels of countries that if we went into a war right now, there would probably be a high number injured, and you know, the death toll would be of a certain number. This is actually probably taking more than if we actually went to war. So at the end of the day, whether it's natural or whether it's man-made, there is only a very few people who are pulling this together. There will be doctors who are at the forefront of this, with the people coming in that didn't go to work when their didn't go home when their shift closed, who didn't, you know, are still there, who are pulling shift after shift after shift after shift to save the lives of the people that are going through this. Now, Collier Silver, obviously I meant to have all the affiliate links out from here for, again, I haven't had people around me who have understood the platform that I've been trying to build. I am now free falling with you guys without my own safety net in place as well. So for those that have followed me and picked up the breadcrumbs of the things that I've been saying, I've said to people to have 72-hour emergency pack in place. I've been talking about 2 weeks, up to 2 weeks emergency plan. I had said to people that you're potentially going to need 3 months to 18 months worth of back money to make sure that you can protect your land, your home, rent, mortgage, or whatever it is that you pay, because people are going into crisis shopping right now. And what that's going to do is, come rent day, come mortgage day, people aren't going to have their payments. I have always said 1, 2, 3, homelessness out on the streets. So don't allow panic to take you out of the longevity of your life, because what happens is it becomes a car crash. It is like literally getting into a car with your family, ragging around in panic, driving up and down like an absolute fucking idiot with no seatbelts on, driving at pelting speeds, where you're just thinking about getting your family somewhere, that you are completely oblivious to the amount of people that you're crashing into left, right and centre. And this is potentially the disaster that's going to be the problem from all of this, is going to be the residuals that people haven't seen. It's very Marxist, by the way. And the sustainability agenda is only really about green. It's only really about, the lands and sustaining the land under one ownership, and making sure that the lands have all, got the right vegetation, again, under one ownership. They've gone to sleep late, which is a bit of a pain in the arse today. This is where I give him his water, and people say, why do you give your children bottle? Do you not give them love? And it's because he just wants to resettle with Petite, and the other one's actually breastfed. So the person who commented that I keep putting a bottle in both of my children's mouths, well, one of them's breastfed. So anyway, being breastfed, obviously the immunity is built up. How this is going to go over the next couple of days, couple of weeks, is up to whether or not we the people take control and safeguard our own family during this time. And yes, it might mean being a bit of a fool and having to go and walk down in the streets with a mask on. You might feel a little bit stupid about doing it, because people are going to look at you and go, yeah, look at that really silly person, they're taking this all very serious. Well, it is very serious. People are dying, and people are dying in not a very humane way. People are dying in a way that this virus is taking this respiratory, and this virus is like having one massive asthma attack all in one go, and completely just, so it's not exactly in the nicest way. But I think the reality is, what we've all got to think about is, currently right now, I think it was about, but right at the beginning of January, I said, make a decision where you want to be. Make a decision. Do you want to be in the north or the south if you're here in the UK? Do you want to be in another country? If you do, now is the time to go. And obviously in that time, I had Dean saying, we're going. And I'm going, no, we're staying. Not only am I the director of Step Up Britain here, whether it's on tax books or whatever, or whether somebody wants to call it director, because that is what our corporate business call people, but the inspiration, the perspiration, the design, the manual and everything was something that I was hoping that while you were all in this time of reflection, really, it's time to actually sit back and go, do you know what, guys? I'm going to safeguard myself. And do you know what? I am going to safe quarantine my family. And we are going to make sure we've got enough toilet roll and toiletries and food. And we are going to have provisions in place to make sure that we communicate with people. Like my son Daniel now should be making sure I've got enough veg box and calling me up and saying, right, we're at Paul's farm, let's make sure mum is okay. We should be thinking about these things. I've been saying over the last 10 years to get the churches out grazing the lands, preparing for the fact that we here in the UK take away the pandemic that's going on, and just the fact that we have just exited Brexit. So we are no longer part of the EU, and that also includes our trades deal. So unless our local farmers are getting the eggs from chickens, then then we don't get eggs. But luckily we can have chickens here in the UK, and people are, going out there. But we should all have our own chicken. Do you know what I mean? We should all have our own, cow, and not, and parents should be breastfeeding longer anyway. And if we don't want to do these things, then we should be within a community, but somebody is doing this part, we do this part, and they do that part. Like take my son, he's the hairdresser. So he would be the hairdresser within that network, and everybody would always make sure that the meal is served, because he's not charging people to cut his hair. He's just part of that community. Now, they can build sustainability based on nature, but nature will do whatever the fuck nature wants to do. You could turn around and say, well, we want the seasons. And actually, as a government, in our world, we want the seasons. We want to have the snow in winter. We want to have the sun in summer. And we can go out there to Mother Earth and we can go, hello, Mother Earth, would you like to sign a contract to make sure that we actually have seasons in line with us as human beings, so we don't have this depression and we're not out of natural body clock? But all of this aside, the government can't do that, because Mother Nature will always be in sync with Mother Nature. And as I have always said, Mother Nature can be loving and kind and giving and compassionate and understanding, but Mother Earth, Mother Nature can also be crushing, and she can crash waves that take ships down. She can bring storms that take out cities, villages, even countries can go under islands. So, but when there's a man-made thing behind something, it becomes criminal, it becomes murder. We know Agenda 21 was first ever signed in Australia. Australia were one of the first people. The film that I'm watching at the moment, well, I've been watching it for quite a while, but I'm going to be putting back out again. This is what we're heading into, guys. More and more people with doctors running around in masks trying to nurse the sick. While you're at your home, hospitals are full of people who are going to die or get treated. And if you're at home and you're having to go through this, then I hope you're not alone. I hope your family is all nurturing you through such a level. Now, this guy here was irresponsible and left the quarantine area that actually spreaded the virus through a whole city that could have been prevented if they had just all been quarantined straight from the plane. But in this, he decided to continue. Another young boy has just died. Now, this is a film.
You're fine. Trust me, the jack is back. Listen, I need you to do me a favor. I need to get my hands on a cell phone recharger. Think you could hook me up?
Mr. Handler, we're here for our patient's medical needs. That's first and foremost. Now, if you want an exam, we'll give you an exam, and we'll probably move you to another area at some point. But for right now, I think I would be grateful to be alive.
This Riptide thing, it's like a whole neutron bomb or something, huh? The people, they just evaporate, but the buildings are still standing. It's going to be a buyer's market, my friend.
Oh. All right. You see that room down there? Right there. Yeah, look at that. He's dead because you infected him. Right? Just like you infected all the other people. Dozens, maybe hundreds of people. And now you want to sell the real estate? Go back to your room.
Keep going, guys, because now we come to the police trying to find the people who are causing this epidemic. Even in the film,
Testing 1, 2, 3.
This is a man-made virus. The film is going to be posted out. If you were in quarantine, I'm going to come back in to something else that's said. Here we go. Dodgy people, guys. Dodgy people. Just bear with me. District Attorney.
How you doing, counselor? Fine.
Dodgy, greedy criminals.
What do you got here? Maserati? Like this. Something like this go for? Cut the crap. They said you're supposed to be here. Where is he? You got the documents? I got them right here. But they're for his eyes only. Well, he thought he couldn't trust you. You know what? Neither do I. What are you doing? What? You wearing a wire? Leave me alone, man. Let's go.
The lengths that people will go to cover up criminal activity. I'm going to come away from this for a minute because I'm going to post it out again. On one side of the coin, you have got doctors out there saving lives. You have got people, MPs, parliament, structures, people in authority that are actually realising that it doesn't matter whether it's man-made, it doesn't matter whether it's nature, it could hit us all. And it actually could. It could potentially, if left with no safeguarding, no controls, no isolation of those who are infected, then this could completely wipe out the human population, including the people that created it, apart from the fact that they've already immune themselves to, obviously, because you have to give yourself the, you have to basically go through it. So it's like chicken pox. And if anybody parents know that if a chicken pox is going around school, then the majority of the wise parents have what's called a chicken pox party, and they literally get the kids all together, they let them get the virus out of the way. They know that at that particular point they're going to nurture and deal with the chicken pox, and it's gone. And that's what used to happen. I'm just going to come back to this film to show you the other side of the coin that you don't see.
Hey, just want to check up on you guys, make sure you're okay.
We're good.
You sound distracted. Anything going on? You all right?
No. No, we're fine.
That's
here.
his son.
Maybe I should talk to your mother. Put her on.
She's sleeping.
Okay, well, you tell her I called. You make sure, okay?
Yeah. See you, Dad.
See you, buddy.
Mum's sick. People all around the world are running around trying to make sure that they can save your dad, your mum, your uncle, your aunt, your brother, your sister, your son, your daughter. Again, whether man-made or whether natural, it's killing people. It's making people sick. It's taking people out. And not on a level that the normal flu outbreak does, or when we had bird flu and it erupted. This is something very different. This is something very different. I'm going to put the film out. I'm going to get you to watch it. And the reason that I'm going to get you to watch it is to understand and not fear the level of quarantine. This is about us taking back that control and going, no, government, you're not going to divide us into children, adults and older people. We are going to come together under our family units. I'd also advise that I'm going to be doing it as well. I would actually advise that every person who's had children taken into foster care or forced adoption to literally contact the agencies and just let them know that you're here. Tell them that you would like to be informed of any chance of your children in this virus, and also let them know that if the foster parents can't actually handle it, that you are able to take your children home, and this is how you're going to look after them, and this is how you're going to protect them, and just let them know that you're here, and let them know that you want to know where your kids are. I'm going to be demanding to know where the fuck Aaron and Faith are and what's going on, and obviously watching and monitoring the Wales area, because me as a mother, I can literally, I mean, I'm annoyed with myself right now, because right now I'm paid tomorrow, but it's not enough. And then once all the bills are going out, I've got nothing. And I wanted to be in a situation where I always permanently had my car covered. I always had the petrol, and if it meant that I needed to go and hit the hills and be up in the hills for a bit, then so be it. And I was going to literally just hit the hills while this sort of tied out and stuff, but I haven't actually got myself in that situation because it was too much over when we're going to be leaving the country or not. And I've been getting so fucking pissed off because the foundations to this is not coming into place yet, and I haven't had the time to take out for myself, and people have not been understanding where I've been going with this. So it's a great idea for people now to just see this as a sabbatical, just see this as a time to be able to tell the rest of your life that you are hibernating and you're going to take some time out. Make sure you get some fresh air. Make sure you're drinking. Make sure you're not drinking all your water from these guys, because obviously the amount of fluoride in it. Why do they put fluoride in it? Fluoride dumbs you down. Fluoride is a suppressant. Fluoride basically keeps you down. Hence why they shove it in your toothpaste. Hence why they shove it in your water. Hence why when the riot started, Maggie Thatcher, I can't think what year it was, basically went, fluoride the water. And that's how they suppressed the people, by making sure that the basic necessities. It's a war whether you believe it or, guys. It's basically kings and queens of different countries and all of this stuff that is going on. But the greatest thing is we're in an amazing time in all of this. The Queen is now talking about her day that she's going to give up the throne. You know, Harry and his missus have already left. But don't let them distract you from what's really going on. Don't let them distract you from the fact that if they can implement what they're going to implement, and something tells me this is going to be a really big flop, and actually this virus is not going to hit as many people as they like, and the fact is more and more people who do care and do have compassion for other people are stepping up. They are going into work on no pay. People are being told, you know, to go home with zero pay and go and hibernate, because businesses can't afford to keep us. Businesses are based on people going to work, people, you know, and it isn't about taking this problem and monopolying on it, because yes, people are going to die, their houses are going to go up for sale. Yes, some property person is probably on it, running around going, where's the deaths, where's the contents of this person's stuff, let's clean their house out, let's make some money out of this person. And yes, it can be that cruel. Yes, it does work that way. Yes, someone's going to make shitloads of money out of collier silver, cannabis oil, aloe vera, all of these things that the basic fundamental body requires to fight these viruses themselves. Yeah, we are self-healing beings. I have a funny feeling I'll probably contract the virus. I'll come through it, and I'll show you how to come through it with no fear. I might even be on my fucking deathbed and come through it, or I'm not going to get hit by it at all. Is this really going to make any difference? Quarantining in my house with my windows open? No. In fact, what it's going to do is open us up to it. Is it about close contact? Is it going to be airborne? They don't really know, because at the end of the day, the police haven't gone and found the people that created it yet. So I was going to come back to this film before I come off. And this is the doctor who's going to save us all. And there's her friend. The photographer who clipped it all, videoed it all, from the very first person who died on the aeroplane.
Hey, I guess I got it off as long as I could. I'm so sorry.
This is no different than forced adoption. Just because it is not affecting you currently, personally, that you're not laying on a deathbed. I have family in quarantine who have this. Is it a case of good and bad people? Look. This is the reality of this virus, guys. This is the reality. Body after body. Your brother, your sister, your uncle, your aunt, your mum, your dad. And here's the bad man that started it. Look at all those bodies.
Unsubstantiated by state and city authorities.
Look at all these bodies.
We now have information from a knowledgeable source that tells us
This is where your family may end up. In a pit.
Mass graves have been dug for the incineration and burial of the
Incineration and burial. Look at those bodies.
is now in the thousands and growing.
This is nothing in comparison to where we're up to now already. Our hospitals are not ready. Back in 4 years ago, Warren Beatty, all these people said, you need to prepare for what is coming. They warned people. Q has warned people. Many other people have warned people to say. And how can we not be right if you go back to my lives and I turned around and said the borders will be closed down at some point. And not just because of Brexit and not just because of this virus, but because how do you get a whole world to listen to one person? And that is, you've got to shut them down and quarantine them. In this film, somebody says one very powerful word. Here we go, hang on.
Fill in Harbor PD, and I'll be right over. I got a SWAT team in position. They're ready to move in that building when I give the word.
No. Give me 5 minutes to get inside and neutralize him.
Like hell, my boys are going to get him out of there.
He knows we got him for murder. I don't think he's walking out peacefully.
So we carry him out.
The CDC needs him alive.
Any suggestions?
Just give me 5 minutes, and you can do what you want. But you don't move till I give the signal.
5 minutes.
Okay.
Hey, where's your mask?
I don't need one. Vicente's not sick.
I thought he was on that plane.
He was. That's why I need him alive.
This ambulance looking at the
Nothing too small? No.
Him.
I think we got a problem.
I'll get the guys.
You guys ain't showing 15 minutes. We get those trucks out of here. Oh, it's you.
Good, bad.
Yeah, where I can see. I got the rat. Let's move in on the rest.
Let's go! Hey, it's going down! Hey, they're coming! Move up!
So basically they're going to fight for a bit with guns. And they're going to catch the person who has released this virus on the people that has caused all of these deaths. And then obviously they probably blame some little person. But at the end of the day, that person was probably paid a lot of money to do it. The question is, by who? And that's the problem, because it can be fixed. This is about greed, control. And one of the main things for sustainability was, here we go. Now the cure can come in, because the person who created it and In about 3 or 4 weeks, you will hear of probably some massive big cure that's just been created that already existed before it was released.
Figured you could use this stuff. We got it.
And there's the antidote.
This is great.
Good job.
This is Melissa Lowe reporting. It appears that the stolen antiviral Cotaxil has been recovered. 2 truckloads have just arrived here at the Emergency Response Center and are now in the safe hands of CDC officials.
We have recovered the stolen Cotaxil. Now, this does not mean we're out of the woods, not by any stretch. It does mean we have a tool to help slow down the virus. I do have to remind you all that this is not a cure, but it does buy us some valuable time.
Anyway, it's just a film. But at this particular point, we could be watching The Terminator. And at some point, I'm going to be sitting there on some high-tech live, playing back The Terminator, while we have a war of humanoids v humans going on. It's 2020 right now. We got 10 years. We can't turn this around in 10 years. It's now. Now is the pinnacle time. Now is the time of reflection, of deep thinking, the time of prayer, the time for you to come together as your family and forgive anything that has gone on within your home environment, and to take control of any bad things that may be needed to be dealt with, that your family have not had the confidence to hold people accountable for harms that have been caused. And you have a right to do that. But we're all in this together now. It doesn't matter whether you are my little Chinese lady down there. It doesn't matter if you're the person walking around. It doesn't matter if you're in Rio. It doesn't matter if you're in Australia. It doesn't matter if you're in New Zealand. This virus isn't racist. This virus isn't picking on any particular culture. In fact, if anything, yes, you could say predominantly the black, but yes, as with all viruses, it has tended to come within them sort of places. And obviously we know it was China, but it isn't just the Chinese people getting sick. If you go on, you will see the death toll all around the world in countries you haven't even heard of. And it might just be one death. But that's your mother, that's your father, that's your brother, that's your cousin. And it's not up to government to isolate us and separate us, because I will say it again, I believe that Boris Johnson felt that he was going to bring forward something and he was going to make a difference. But you saw a man yesterday defeated and brought to his knees in full control of having to come into line with the EU way of doing this when he fought so hard to take us out of that control. I believe that Boris Johnson is 100% aware of the One World Order and obviously G7, as of course they would be, just as we know Donald Trump is. Other people and things are probably more conformed to the ways of the world, but these are 2 people who have pushed into positions to make a difference. It's not about the fact that one fits all. We could have people just at the top making these decisions for us. But before I go, I want you to think of one thing. The people who have been designing these labels and the things that you live under and the systems are pedophiles, are people who rape and pillage children. Don't allow for your children to be out there on their own, guys. Don't allow for you to be at home either getting sick or not sick, or for your children to be at school while they could get sick or not sick, or maybe actually none of you get sick. But at the end of the day, you should be together as a family. I believe that I don't care even if this sickness that Dina's got at the moment is the virus. If we go down, we go down as a family. If we go up, we go up as a family. I want to take all my kids into this, but at the end of the day, we chose to bring children into the world, not to be property of the state, not for the state to be responsible of our children. but for us to be responsible. And I think it would do us all the world of good to be at home with our children, that it's not school holidays, and to actually really be able to sit down and work out where are you in your life, because this is going to be over soon. They say it could go on for 18 months and things like that, but it will become yesterday's chip paper. But in that point, there's going to be a lot of signed government documents done. And it's whether you're aware. It's whether you're aware of the sustainability program. It's whether you're aware of the implementation of the One World Order government. It's whether you're aware of who's pulling the strings behind the sorts of leaders that we've got, whether we're being led by kindness, love and compassion, or whether we're being led by pride and greed and envy and jealousy and all of the horrible things that make this world a very nasty place. So, you know, if it's going to get you, it's going to get you. Deal with it as and when it happens. But do think about people. You know, don't try to pretend you're not sick and pass it on to other people. But stay together with your families. Listen to what government's saying. And heed to what they're saying. But do your own research. And go, we're not doctors. We're not medical people. We're not clinicians. We're not the people who can even see the effects of it. The reality is it's killing people. But so does cancer, so does smoking, so does running across the road in front of a bus, so does getting in a car. It's about taking away that fear of death. When I first ever went into Buddhism, when I first ever went into coaching, that was the first thing they got us to face. Think about how you want your funeral to be. Think about the things that you want people to say about you at your funeral, and embrace death. Because there's only two paths before you once you cross over this road. And you can waste the years that you've got here living the life that they want you to live, or you can step into your own true essence and be the person that you were meant to be created. Not everybody even knows what's going on. Some people just might get sick and not even realise it was even part of anything else because they don't know. Like I said, not everybody reads the papers, not everybody Googles, not everybody watches what's going on. People hear about things and it doesn't affect them. Just like paedophilia, just like state kidnap through the system, just like, you know, people getting sick over illnesses that shouldn't exist because we have the solutions. It's no different than cancer. They have fought cannabis oil on cancer for years. Cannabis oil has been a cure way before it was even legalized. Criminalized, you know, so it's not criminalized now for cannabis oil, it's the THC that's criminalized, but, you know, they've known that these cures have been here, where they're only just starting to go, yay, it's curing people. They're only just stopping to fight the people who brought in sustainability windmills, people who brought in solar panels. This stuff has existed 30, 40, 50 years. But these people have been killed. Why have they been killed? Because at the end of the day, oil makes lots of money. Minerals make lots of money. Most of the wars that have been going on have been about control and governance of minerals, of oil, of lands, of property. There will be good that comes out of this, but only by you educating yourself and understanding you can at this particular point turn around and not be immunised. You can at this particular point go, I'm going to make sure that my family's got good, clean, quality water. I'm actually going to educate myself about the water that is currently going on. And I'm going to start stamping my damn feet and marching down to Parliament to say, you can't even provide your country with good quality water. We need good quality water. And no, we shouldn't be going out there being raped and pillaged to pay so much for these waters. And the CEO of companies should not have ownership of this water. Yes, it should be owned by the people that we see as the overseers that are going to run the streets for us. You know, there's so much stuff that we can come in as the people and go, no more. This is not about getting up every wet day and going and working at Tesco's to make sure that there are nappies on the shelves for people. That is just one element of it. And hats off to the people out there that are making sure that these things are there. But we shouldn't be dependent on big corporate companies making them rich. We should be able to work from within ourselves. But that means going back to good old fashioned, making your own tops, you know, and that should be great and amazing. Or having a friend who knows how to do it. Cut the labels, bring down the shit, bring down the fact that we're paying such high rates on rents and mortgages. Bring this shit down, but do it safely. And do it in a way that is kind and compassion. So think about the older people that are in right now. And if you've got a slow cooker or something that you can pack up an extra sets of, you know, food, then brilliant. If you can go down to your local food bank and say, look, I've got 3 or 4 neighbours that need a bit of a pack, let's come together and maybe help these people. If you can get down to your local church, and even if you ain't somebody who feels that, you know, if you feel you're going to walk for a church and burn because of all of your sins, then, you know, walk into the fucking church and burn your sins away, and go and make yourself available and say, look, you know, I'm happy to be here. And if you've no responsibilities and no kids, then get your fucking masks on, get into the fucking core of this shit and really help people, because isolating ourselves away into depression, into severe mental health, not having the tools to be able to deal with this is not good. I was hoping that Step Up Britain would have delivered all of this to you by now, to make sure that you have everything from coming back to basics of personal responsibility, that everything in your life that is going on in your life now comes from your core intuition, from what you're manifesting and what is around you, down to the accountabilities. I told the social worker today, who sent me a fucking letter that arrived at 11:14 today for a meeting at 9:30 today, this morning, what you're doing. One, you know, I don't attend meetings. My bowels don't finish up its job until sort of 10:30. Part of my condition, my EDS, is that, you know, that is written in part of my core thing with all of these official people. And of course I said the same to her, and she's just learnt what misfeasance, malfeasance and non-misfeasance is in. But I said exactly the same to her, you know, and I can't even think I was going with that, but I put my foot down on quite a few things with her today. We got to get our shit together. Take this time of quarantine to clear your home out. Store it up, put it in storage units, use it for some money after this. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to be pretty broke after this, especially if you're not getting sick pay, especially if government's not going to be paying. I have said on March the 29th of this year, I haven't been wrong so far, and if I'm not wrong, then we are really, really expecting a big crash. The financial year will restart again on the 1st of April, and the new pot of money, well, we will know where we are up to by then. At that particular point is when we're going to know how many people are going to be cut from the government welfare system, and also how many people would have potentially have lost businesses, because if you're sick, say me, if I own a business, as I do, not one that's making money, but it could have done that, and not even about the money, it could have really made a difference. But if you're going like through what I'm going through, you're either going through mental health issues, I'm going through grief, trauma, and obviously my physical condition. You know, I've always said my ship needs an autopilot, because if I go down, the ship has to keep sailing. And that's why fundamental foundations in any home is paramount. Things have to keep going. So if you're sick now, you've got to think about them 1, 2, 3 rent payments, or then 1, 2, 3 mortgage payments. Because if at the other end of your sickness, you're dealing with bailiffs at your door and them trying to evict you while you're trying to get onto your feet, it's going to cripple you. And this is why I said to people, prepare for this to make sure that when it comes, that you have the foundations in place to make sure that you can just go get your snivels, do your coughs, be sick, and then after that, come through it well and make sure that you still have protected your home and your lands. Because if these guys get their way, then basically they're going to kill off as many people as possible, take back your homes, take back your lands, and take back all of this stuff. I think that was my door. I'm annoyed that my kids are still asleep though, because that's just messed up my entire evening. So, hang on. I had a feeling, I don't think it is actually. Seriously, look. Fucking ridiculous. I have to get through this in the hallway. It can't be, because it would have re-knocked by now. And, no, my friends know how you knock. And in fact, I know when it's Dean, because Dean has his own little rattle he does on my key box. So everyone has their own little marker. So anyway, I've got a lot of this stuff done. I've still got loads of stuff to get done, but just please, guys, like, this isn't about compulsive buying. There's a lot of us who prepared you a long time ago, so you didn't have to go out and do this mass buy. I, for one, have set myself up to failure. I really needed to make sure that car was constantly on the road so I could move around if need be. And obviously I wanted the I'm Stepping Up for Britain out already now, to basically get people through this, because it's very, very, very easy to go into fear. It's very, very easy to go into even denial, even complete denial. And at the end of the day, if mum gets sick, who looks after the kids? If the kids get sick, you know, how does mum go to work? So at the end of the day, these foundations need to be in place. I already know people who've already been in quarantine for pretty much already 2 weeks, and that, you know, they're going through it at the moment, but they're not going to work. And also their companies might not even let them back to work because they have to replace them, because businesses have to keep going. So I was really wanting to read through Agenda 21. So if you haven't read Agenda 21, please go through, understand the concepts of Agenda 21, who implemented it, where it comes from. And at this particular moment, the UK is protected from it. If Boris Johnson continues being in line with the EU, then this isn't great. What Boris Johnson should be doing right now is opening up all of the gym, giving everybody free health cards, getting people to understand how to clean their water. We should be focusing on all of these things. We should be focusing on the farms. We should be saying, right, get rid of these fucking big companies. We don't want these big shops anymore, because, you know, we don't want these big high costs. We don't want the way things are. Or if we are, then it's a distribution centre. And yeah, shop online and have it dropped off, so be it. But it is time to go back to basics. It really is. So I think we're going to go for a pinnacle time. I would say that the most pinnacle time, and when I think that they're going to really drop this, is going to be the 1st of April. April Fools, hey? April Fools. But 1st of April, because 1st of April is the new financial year. Yeah, just keep an eye on things, guys. But really, 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 this is about you taking some time out, because you're either going to go through this through 3 options. You know, you're not going to get sick, you will get sick, or you will get sick and die. It's like going into court, isn't it? It's like no orders, hoarders, or removal. You know, so it's no different. But really take this time as well to contact people. Pick up the phone to people that you haven't spoken to for a long time and just say, look, I know we had a fallout a long time ago, but I'm thinking about you and I hope you're all right. And, you know, and I'd like to, after all of this, maybe, you know, put things by bygones as well, because people are going to die with a lot of shit on their chest, guys. People are going to die, and that means they're going to go to hell. And you've got a chance to help the people who are going to cross over, to make sure that they go to the right place, because it's about making sure that people can make peace with themselves and peace with others. And sometimes people screw up in lives, but it's only once you're facing the reality of your death do you really ever think about the consequences of your life. And I know this because it took for me to get sick a long time ago, for even me to sit there and go, I'm not letting this happen to me. I'm going to come back from this, and I'm going to make these changes. And I think that's the greatest thing about right now. It's a time of forgiveness, it's a time of healing, it's a time of love, it's a time of compassion, it's a time of making that extra meal for somebody. It's about making sure that the people on the streets are okay. You know, it's about protecting yourself, putting your family first, but then giving a shit about others as well, and not being greedy and just thinking about yourself. So if you know full well that you've got enough nappies for your family, don't take that extra pack, because that extra pack might be that one that other child needs that could be sick, and that family might be going through nappies at a fucking compulsive rate. And time now through things like social media, being able to post. So please, if you are isolated, then put up on Facebook that you are in isolation and what you might need, because between communities we can help each other get those things to each other. Do you know what I mean? Because we're in this together. So my kids are waking up, but hang on.
Climb even higher. The spread of COVID-19 was no longer something that could be stopped, but we can still slow it down. We just have to act right now.
Anyway guys, my kids are waking up, so I'll catch you later. Bye.